Yes?
Thank you. I have a question about a focal point and different vantage points that I would like to have clarity upon which kind of momentum I have right now going on and whether I want to access the wheel or not. And this
you can't tell by the way you feel. If you can't tell by the way you feel, jump on. Jump on, and as it gets moving faster, it will become more obvious. And don't be afraid to jump on. There's no danger in choosing a vibration that is not the best one. How are you going to figure it out? When you watch those little ones beginning to walk and they fall down, you don't say, "Get up, you little dummy." You appreciate them finding their balance.
Yeah. So my guidance, I was always looking for this hell yes, and this was not present, but the thought of not doing it was not feeling good. And
well, then you just want to collect more data. In other words, why the urgency to jump into action when you have so much vibrational latitude? If you're in a position where you're saying, should I or shouldn't I, should I or shouldn't I, you haven't done the vibrational work. And any place you jump in is going to be sort of lackluster. So if you remind yourself that you're wanting to wait until there's enough momentum that you are inspired to some action, then the action will yield you something meaty that will help you to define and choose.
And
does that make sense to you? Even if later on it's what you would consider to have been not the best choice, it was still valuable because it brought you information that helped you to define what you really want and who you really are.
And is it all right if I ask specific?
Yes, always best.
So there's a place in Berlin, in the heart of Berlin, and I have had a kind of big relationship with this because it was one phase of my life that was my vortex, the idea of ring my bell, of creating a physical manifestation of new consciousness in the heart of Berlin. And this was sort of going toward ethical, like Jerry referred to. And this was amazing, an amazing time. And then I fall out of not knowing what I know today. I made a decision from outside the vortex, and I focused on where the place was, where it was neglected. So, and with all the mayors and all the social, political things. And so I heard from you then this analogy of two restaurants, where there's one restaurant perfectly working, having everything that you already want, and one that you have to create and teach them. So I thought, what am I doing here at this place? So I removed from there and traveled the world, laid on the beach, ate in so many great restaurants. And now I revisited this place and I thought, man, if this place just had beautiful restaurants and cafes, and now I have a momentum where all the landlords are offering me now 7 different commercial spots on this place, all at once. And this just brought to me, and I think this is really amazing. But my friends keep saying me, don't you want to lay on the beach and travel the world? And when are you going to start actually your teaching career and your coaching? What, don't you know how much work this is to have restaurants? And this is where I am now.
Well, it's an interesting thing, isn't it, that you sift through your data and you launch rockets of desire and you create a vibrational reality, and then you deliberately tune yourself to the frequency of your highest good, let's call it. And then the grid fills in with sort of amazing, what others would call coincidental, powerful, because the leverage is so significant, results of your alignment. And then you stand in a place of questioning the rightness of it. And this is when we like to say to you, you can't get it wrong and you never get it done. And the reason you can't get it wrong is because it is never done. Esther sometimes feels obliged or obligated to follow that path of least resistance when it lights up, in a sort of attitude, well, after all, the universe went to so much trouble to yield this path to me, and might I not seem ungrateful if I don't follow through with it? And there is never anything like that. when the impulse is really right for you and will serve you for a reasonable amount of time, we're talking about a year or 2 or 3, and that impulse comes to you, it's an impulse that isn't a contradictory tug-of-war impulse. It's an impulse that makes you say, I've found this and this is unfolded and nothing is going to keep me from it. And of course, the thing that's interesting about this, Esther and friends were sort of walking around this little town just following their nose, but there were no high stakes. In other words, the most that they were looking for was just a lovely day together. And so there was nothing that really needed to be thought over. And so just happily and easily going with the flow brought point after point after point after point of wonderful experience. But when you've been working on something for a while, so you have some discs that are about what you really want, and you've got some discs about some of what you don't want, you're not sure which disc you are promoting with this behavior. Wouldn't you say that's what's going on? And so there are 2 ways of finding out. Jump on one of them and let it manifest more, and then you can always make another decision. Or understand that when you have that feeling of ambivalence, that you're not really established in the vibrational momentum that you want to be in, that will serve you better. In other words, if you were earlier in your evolution of understanding all of this, our encouragement to you would be, go ahead and jump in, because there's all kinds of data that you will collect from that that will be really meaningful to you. But because of the nature of your intent and because of the vibration of your being, we can feel that there is some more momentum to be gathered before the inspiration to act will really be that comfortable momentum. Having said that, though, here's that schizophrenia that you keep feeling from us, is that there's nothing like knowing sort of poignantly what you don't want to cause you to send off more rockets about what you do want. So that's why we say you cannot get it wrong. But if we were standing in your physical shoes, knowing what we know about the laws and knowing what we can feel about your energy, we just hold off a little bit and let it become more in keeping with who you are. And it's our promise to you that when it pops, there'll be no question in your mind. Let them fight over you a little bit.
Let them what?
Let those 7 places fight over you a little bit. Let them discover the perfection of that which is you, because there is a better deal to be had.
The great thing is about that these three of them, they are next year, but they are already approaching me, whether I want them, so I have a first right of refusal. So this is good, it's not coming all at once, but there's one, the smallest one, that is available right when I come back, which would be like a stepping stone. So this is why, if you could help me find alignment.
The thing that you're tripping on just a little bit, and everyone understands this to some degree. There's this feeling that, again, it's the ship coming in thing, but it's the feeling that I might miss an opportunity, that maybe I need to jump in because I might miss an opportunity. And we really want to assure you that all that missing one opportunity means is that there's a better one queuing up for you.
Okay.
So your work is not to evaluate the opportunities that are presenting. Your work is to queue up to an even better one. Because we promise you, if any of those were perfect, we would not be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Good time for a segment of refreshment.